Fam, I know we said we would be starting at 8 o'clock, but our guest has arrived, so I'm going to get this party started a little early. In the meantime, let me play you all a little sample of music of something you can get on iTunes, Spotify, and the Apple Store. It is my latest single, Gotta Get On Up. It's a throwback to the 80s, especially if you like groups like The Whispers, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Babyface, The Gap Band, then you're going to get down to this song. This has got to get on up by G Rich. And shout out to my producer, some producers I work with, April Rocks of April Rock Studios, and The Sizzle.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, cause on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. You gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really moving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on Earth, Wind, and Fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all time.
We've been dealing with death, the past, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you're achieving. So
if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on, baby. Gotta get on, baby. Come on, baby. Gotta get on, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
that, ladies and gentlemen, was the premiere of my brand new single, Got to get on up. I hope you guys will enjoy it and actually buy it on iTunes. Although uh, Jennifer Lopez can honestly sing it better than I did. Uh, oh, that's a shot. No, but I love doing music. I've told you guys I had plans to do things. I'm in music publishing and writing songs and so forth. And music industry can be very nice and profitable. But I like doing stuff like that, especially taking it back to the '80s. But I hope you guys will buy it and support the fam. In the meantime, of course, we got to bring on our sister who let me put myself on. There we go. Let me put my our friend and sister to the show, Miss Tieesha Essex, on. I was on her program yesterday, and as part of our little special doubleheader. Hi, Tieesha. I'm glad that you're able to come on. We're going to be talking about some gun control bills that are being passed and House Bill 127. But how are you doing tonight? First off.
I am doing great. I was over here jamming. I love your intro. It takes me back. I'm an '80s baby, so that's my decade. So I appreciate that, and I'm so great to be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ashton says it really sounds good, really good sounds like an 80s funk song. Yeah. Well, that was the idea of it. I'm an 80s baby myself. I was born in 80. Yeah. And I was born in 86, so February of 86. And in my household, I can remember at least being 3 years old, which would be
Mhm.
29. And even in the '90s, and I remember it was filled with music, and we would listen to the Whispers, we'd listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, we would have Cool in the Game.
Yep.
I told you about it. Yeah, Stevie Wonder, anybody you can name of. My grandfather had he was a big audiophile, and so was my dad. He had his records and stuff that we would play. So I love listening to that music. So, and it's missed. I think it's not authentic today. We don't have authentic R&B. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, uh, I mean R&B right now is what they classify the weekend as R&B, and he's not R&B. He's more pop.
I give a shout out to Raheem Devon. I tune into him on IG Live. Giving us the vocals. So
Raheem Devine. Yeah, I like him. He's cool. Yeah, but Ashton likes the song. So yeah, if y'all love the song, man, y'all gotta support and go to iTunes and buy that. Gotta get on up the actual banner for the name. Let me just show you where you can go because for some reason I have
excuse,
you gotta
bless
type,
you.
excuse me. You gotta go right here, type gotta get on up as a single, and it should pop up R&B. And that is the name. That's my name, G Rich, G dash RI cent sign H.
Like that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like it. So everybody, please go support Buy the Music. Rosalind said she's an '80s baby too, so I'm glad. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could do a show for days on music, but it's like music. You say Raheem Devine. I mean, you think of even the great R&B artists like you think of it, all of them are either old or deceased. I mean, Luther
Right.
Vandross, Teddy Pendergrass, and I mean, I know which way they swung, uh, still, I mean, Luther could sing like nobody. Uh,
There'll
you
never be another one that can copy that.
Stevie Wonder. I mean, outstanding songwriter and singer. He still hasn't stopped making music, but they try to keep a lot of the artists, those old school artists, even off the air now, and push the younger hip, what they think is hip R&B artists, or not even R&B artists, but pop artists. And honestly, they suck.
I call it the noise. The noise.
The noise. Ashton said Otis Redding. Yeah,
Oh yes.
that's
Right
classic
up here in Macon.
names. Yeah, Sam Cooke.
Yes.
I love Sam Cooke. I loved him as an entrepreneur as well. He I've done shows on his death too. That's very mysterious.
Same. Hmm.
But Rick James, Michael Jackson, of course. We have countless arms. I love like the groups again. I love the Whispers. They don't get their proper due. Frankie Beverly and
Oh
Maze,
yes.
Frankie Beverly. I think there ought to be a versus. I think it would have been a proper versus to have them against Earth, Wind, and Fire. I thought that would have been even better. But yeah, Ashton says Bruno Mars and her.
Speaking of R&B, there gonna be people like Beehive Don't Come For Me, but when you brought up Frankie Beverly and Maze and their song Before I Let You Go, I have to admit, Vivian Green, she covered it better than Beyonce. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. That's all I gotta say. Don't come for me.
Well, I'm sure Frankie didn't mind Beyonce covering it because he got some more royalty checks.
Absolutely, but Vivian Green did it better.
Well, I just say the original is the best for me. Is Frankie. But and something about Frankie Beverly, when he comes to Louisiana, he does all of his he sells out the arenas here. When he's come to New Orleans, I mean his best album was Live at the Sanger Theater, which is right off Canal here in New Orleans in 1980. So our backyards during 4th of July was filled with barbecue and Frankie Beverly. My brother John Renthrope. John, let me shout out John. I've tried to get him on the show before. John is the owner of the only black brewery here in New Orleans, Cajun Fire. He's been trying to get it up off the ground. He's one of my dearest friends, oldest friends since we were kids growing up. So, John, I want you on the show. I want you to advertise, even if you don't pay me. I want to advertise your business still because I want to support you, my brother. So. And that's on the house, so you're welcome to come on.
Same. I am a foodie, so I'm here for it when I come out there to visit.
Sure. Now that don't mean everybody I'm gonna do stuff for free. Now that's for a friend. That's for a friend advertisement. But I'm trying to help this brother get his stuff off the ground. But yeah, people, most definitely. Yeah, you're a foodie, so yeah, he's got his stuff in stores. I also got my seasoning that we're starting, the Nani's Creole seasoning that's going on. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. That's the jingle. But my sister, no, we got to get to let's talk about you because you're my guest here. And of course, you guys know Tieesha very well. She has her own YouTube channel, Tieesha Essex, and she is a veteran. Shout out to our veterans. I know she doesn't like celebrating it, but we still support and salute her and her service. I still have nothing but love and still respect people that serve. And I want to, especially for you all, to check out her website, TieshaEssex.com. Now, I got to ask you something. You said something yesterday about Mark Essex. Are you related to him?
Pretty much. If you find somebody with the last name Essex and they're black, we're related. So he is a distant ancestor. I have not found where our branches are, but we are on the tree. Okay. And it was just ironic when I found out about him. I was in the Navy, didn't know anything about him, being a veteran and things like that. And then, after I got out the military, went towards law enforcement, stuff like that. It was actually another brother who presented the question. I'm like, who? Because Essex is my paternal side, and my parents divorced, so I didn't start finding out about who the Essex were until I was an adult, and it all came together. So pretty much what I've been told, if you see Essex, ESSEX or ESSIX, it's a story. We are related.
Well, that makes, I guess so. And Mark Essex, of course, he is. It depends on how you look at him. He's infamous. He's also celebrated by a few. Over what he transpired back in the 70s. He actually shot at white people and so forth at the Howard Johnson with a sniper rifle vis-a-vis the racism he experienced in this country, and especially in the Navy that he encountered. And I just saw a brother who got out the Air Force. They had a story, I think, on NBC News where he said he got tired of it because he had been in there for 8 years and was dealing with the microaggressions that he had to keep fooling with and just got tired and left. So yeah, can you hear me? Well, I'm talking to you not through my.
I can hear you just fine.
I got this expensive equipment, and sometimes it acts up, sometimes it doesn't. I'm talking to you through the internal mic. Hold on. Let me
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, so you don't want me to change it. All right.
Just fine.
All right. Well, okay. Well, I guess so. So, all right, Tieesha, let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
Ashton, I don't know where you live, but you say Nearest Green is Nearest, Uncle Nearest? Yeah, that's up in Tennessee. He taught Jack Daniels how to distill liquor, whiskey and stuff, bourbon. Yeah, Uncle Nearest. So let us get into it, my dear. I know HR 127. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Now, this does not have it's not necessarily tied to Joe Biden. This was something I think that was introduced kind of around the same time he was inaugurated, but still Biden has called for tougher gun control laws. And you guys have heard me talk about it, but I want to hear from a military veteran and a Second Amendment advocate, someone who teaches, who does instructions and tutorials on weapons on YouTube, and how this would impact her. So Tieesha, let's just share with everyone. This is the congressional page you can go to. I prefer everybody to go there because there's no doubt in when you read this case, you're not missing anything. But this is what they call this was passed by this was created by a Black woman too. It's called the Shakia. It's named after a Sabika Sheikh Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. Have you read this?
I pulled up the actual article. I'm sorry, the actual act here on Congress.gov. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. Yeah, but the Shabika Sheikh. I'm not familiar with that name. That's something that I passed right over, and so I thought that I would go over. We'll learn together if I don't know, because I value your expertise. So.
Well, Shabika Sheikh was basically a victim of a Santa Fe shooting. That Santa Fe shooting in 2018. That's when she's at the Santa Fe High School. And that happens, of course, that's in Santa Fe, Texas. So Sheila Jackson Lee is the representative of that district, District 18, which is in Houston. And I believe that encompasses Santa Fe, Texas and so forth. That's in that area. So she's pushed this gun control bill. She's pushing it. As of now, it has not passed it or made into the Senate, nor passed Congress. But with the way that things are going in this country, with Biden calling for tougher gun control bills and Kamala Harris calling for gun reform, people talking about these shootings that have gone on. I believe there was a recent shooting up in Tennessee that occurred. Interesting enough, since we're talking about Uncle Nearest, someone mentioned Uncle Nearest, there was a shooting there. And also what's happened in Georgia and what's happened in Colorado. I don't think any new gun control bill, we've actually had multiple gun control bills, and yet the crimes still keep happening.
And that's my thing. Like whenever I see new things presented, I stay away from mainstream media. And shout out to the new black media, yourself included. Thank you for what you do. I try to stay away from it. When I see other content creators, they jumped up out of a video on something, I just stay out of the loop. And that's why, I kind of ignore things, because I don't want my views to lean this way or that way, but I want to have my own logical explanation and thoughts on it versus me reacting emotionally. So I thank you so much for that. And with this bill here, it's not that difficult to pull it up. It's available to the public to read and look through it. However, the one thing that I notice with mainstream media when it comes to firearms, they like to use these emotion jerking words, for lack of a better word, these attention grabbing, terms that really cause you to react emotionally. For instance, when they refer to AR-15, oh, it's an assault rifle. No, it's not. It means Armalite. Okay, so that's not what it means. And learning the different platforms of firearms, and if I can leave your audience with one thing tonight, when you are referring to your firearm or your gun, do not refer to it as that W word, okay? Because I teach people, and I let them know how to respond, as a legal law-abiding citizen carrying a firearm, either open carry or concealed carry. I'm not going to refer to it as that W word. It is my personally owned firearm, my stuff like that. So you want to take these emotion driven words that the media wants to use to make you, out of fear, go and act one way without doing your own research. For instance, I listened to a news article or a news story. It was right around the January 6th incident. And they were saying, someone was arrested. They had a 9mm handgun and an arsenal of ammunition. And I'm like, what the hell is an arsenal? And they said an arsenal of 200 rounds. I'm like, I carry more than that to the range. Okay, you call that an arsenal, but when they say it in a way to make you react. Versus if you actually see it, if you look at my YouTube channel or any of my Instagram videos, you will see that's not an arsenal. Okay, so we got to take these fear jerking words out of it, and that's what this bill is full of.
Have you gotten in trouble putting this on YouTube as far as your tutorials and stuff? Have they taken stuff down?
Instagram has. Now, I am the owner of my business, Tieesha Defense Solutions, and where I show off different ways to conceal carry in everyday clothing, how easy and comfortable it is to conceal carry, open carry. However, Instagram took it upon themselves to assume that I am illegally distributing and selling firearms. So I've had posts taken down, and because of this whole Climax 19, I won't say that word, they say, well, you can appeal it, and then we push appeal due to Climax 19. We have no one to review this. It just can't come back on Instagram. So yeah, I get stuff like that.
Well, YouTube has been and Facebook as well as Twitter. They've been heavy on censorship, but I think they're all hypocrites, because you can find all types of stuff on Twitter that shouldn't even be allowed. But yeah.
Yes.
And you're not selling firearms, you were selling apparel and so forth, that like your gun holsters and your.
And thank you for your support as well.
Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. And I want to take a look at the website, because I want people to go there and at least buy something. Y'all are checking out, got to get on up. You obviously subscribe to my channel, and also you all should go to my iTunes and buy that single. But you also need to check out Tieesha. This is Tieesha's business. This is her website. You see, this is her personal website, TieeshaEssex.com. But you can actually go to Tieesha. I'm going to share it with everybody right now, just to take a look at some of the items that she has here. This is a photo gallery of everything from belly band holster. I got one of those.
And what you're seeing here, I had actually went viral back in December, and it was off of a parody I did of a real life situation. And it just showed the importance of, although the actual story did not happen like that, but the victim, this was a hate crime, and our sister, she is still here to talk to us about this. However, I just wanted to let those who subscribe to me or who may come across that video know that you do have the right to protect yourself, with the Second Amendment with, being defensive. You're not going out purchasing a gun just to go and pick a fight and bother somebody. You're here to protect and defend yourself and your loved ones. And I stress over,
Right.
taking, the emotions and the fear out of firearms ownership, and, really having situational awareness to become a hard target and be your own first responder. And there was a situation, if I can just elaborate real quick. I posted on Facebook today that earlier this morning, I have weird sleeping habits, but I woke up to, some of a vehicle's horn outside, and I look out the window and I see, individuals pulling car door handles. And so, I rehearsed that in my mind, being my past, being in patrol, and my car was actually broken into about a decade ago. But, I had a comment on Facebook where someone was like, I wish, or some was like, they should not have encountered you because we know that you're always tooled up. And I'm like, well, in this particular situation here, it's a property crime. If the window's broken or something like that, insurance will replace that. But I'm not going to introduce myself in that situation. It doesn't call for it. So I help, those, and we teach and I stress, maturity when it comes to firearms ownership. There is a heightened sense of responsibility, and, you have to know when to go into a situation and when not to. So I find that legal firearms owners are some of the most responsible people I know.
They are, and we are, and most importantly, especially, and again, I got to do a disclaimer because this is not creating legal advice or legal relationship. This is my opinion based off me being an attorney. So no relationship is created. And I'll say this, that you cannot open fire on someone if they are stealing your property. The way the police, the way the states look at it is that, well, you should have insurance. It's property. Now, if they are trying to break into your home, that's a different issue. You have no duty to retreat in your house. You have no duty to retreat where you're lawfully being, standing your ground. That's where that law comes from. Originally, a few years ago, before that law even passed, the law used to say was that you had to be able to retreat first and foremost before you open fire. Well, if I was in public, and you got to think about this, if you have a woman that is in a parking garage, she's going to get her car. If she's got two thugs that's chasing after her to try and rape her, and she can't get to her car immediately quick enough, wouldn't you think that she would be allowed to defend herself? Wouldn't she be able to pull out her concealed carry and blow these bastards away? I mean, so in a situation like that, it's necessary. But obviously, of course, we know that laws that are passed, they're not meant for us, they're meant for the other man. So, but I wanted to just stress, excuse me, I'm not yawning because of you.
And yours contagious, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and take a.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to point that out for everybody so they'll just know. Yeah. So getting back to this bill,
Yes.
Let's talk about stricter gun laws, and we're going to get into some of the things he's passed. He's actually been very active with this stuff. But you guys, y'all have seen live streams before. You know what I'm talking about with HR 127. But I want you to read this, Tieesha. This is the actual text of HR 127. One of the things it requires is that you actually get a license not only for a firearm, but also about ammunition. You have to be 21 years of age to get a license. You have to complete a psychiatric or psychological evaluation. They're also requiring, now here's the key thing, and I'm reading through parts of it, the psychological evaluation. They can, if they get the report, the Attorney General of the United States can deny a license to an individual if the individual is prohibited by federal law, if the individual has been hospitalized with mental illness, disturbance, or diagnosis, or on account of conduct that endangers self or others. And
Hmm.
they can interview a former spouse of the individual or the spouse and members of the family if they're trying to apply for this. And what's worse about it is that it also creates a Fourth Amendment, creates a Fourth and Fifth Amendment violation, possibly 14th and sixth, possibly sixth as well. Uh, but more or less, Fourth Amendment violation because you have to identify where you keep your guns according to the law, and that's essentially a search because you're letting the government know where you
Right.
hide your firearms. So this is very disturbing that this thing would even come in place, that they're even talking about it.
Hmm.
If they're talking about a license, eventually they want to seize you.
Absolutely. That was one thing that jumped out at me because I have a lot of people who would, they'll say, hey, I want to, purchase a firearm. However, I saw a counselor, a year ago for this, or, a family member passed away and I saw a grief counselor. I don't think I qualify. And it's like, no, 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 no. There's a questionnaire that you fill out from the ATF, and how it stands now when it comes to your psychological well-being. Only a court can what is the term, can deem you what is called mentally defective, but a court has to adjudicate that and commit you, correct?
What you're talking about is incapacitated.
Exactly. So that, if you look at right now, like we're coming out of the Climax 19, and Climax 19 has had a negative effect on many people. So voluntarily going out, like your mental health is so important. You have, all these commercials about your medical, health, your dental health. We rarely have people who go and get their dental, business hooked up every now and then. But what's most ignored is mental health. We've all been through some stuff. We've all have lost one. We've had to cope, adjust. We have anxiety, and going to voluntarily take care of that and seek services, it should not be revealed to the public. It should not be put on Front Street. And when it comes to questioning past spouses, my past spouse, I'm pretty sure ain't got nothing good to say about me, but you're gonna go ask other people about my business. And when you go to past spouses and stuff like that, that brings up domestic violence. There's people who are victims who go out and seek protection. So, all of this is totally an invasion of privacy when you look at it, and it's so unnecessary.
Yeah, and now too, you factor this in. I'm looking at all of this. We are in the middle of a gun and ammo shortage crisis across the country. You cannot find ammunition in stores. I know during the pandemic, if I wanted to buy 9mm ammo, I had to put an arm and a leg, and I have to go everywhere to scramble for it. Certain stores didn't have it. You had to go during certain times when it was allowed. You being someone who served in the military, I'm sure you know how to make your own, possibly reload your ammunition, or you have no knowledge of that. Okay, well, I
here's
know.
here's here's the thing. Like when people say, okay, you are a veteran, there are I served on an aircraft carrier, and an aircraft carrier is like a floating city. Sometimes we call it a floating prison. But when you think about a prison, you know what I'm saying? You have the dental department, you have medical, you have the barbershop. If you remember last night, we talked to Brother Jason Bavilar. He worked in what on the civilian terms what will be called hospitality. He worked at the ship store, the barbershop, laundry, but he has the title military veteran. So you think, you have these, trained persons with this. I had no clue how to use a firearm when I was in the military. It wasn't until I got out and, I joined the police department, and I really got into it because, I saw how important it was to protect myself and also the public. I delved right into it, but I also saw a deficiency when it came to my people, Black people. many of us was taught to fear firearms. We were taught the wrong way. And when you look at a veteran, you would automatically assume, if you saw more than likely a white male with, you know, all types of tattoos and he's all roided up, you know, oh, he knows something. Many times it was not. He worked as, I don't know, a food handler in the military, but he got all these
Worked in
tattoos
the
and
kitchen.
stuff like that. So you think like, oh, he was in the army. Well, what was your actual job? You know what I'm saying? They don't make up stuff. But
Worked with Steven Seagal in the Navy
exactly, and thanks to
as a cook.
Jason Black for revealing that the American Sniper, that was fiction. Okay, so
Yeah.
they try to show us these things, and it's totally the wrong way to go. So that's where I come in. I want to, you know, teach us the right way. I'm still learning. I'm not an expert. I'm still a novice, but I'm open enough to say I'm learning with you.
Right. Well, I know. I shouldn't say that you knew exactly about firearms being in the military, but I assume you guys go through some type of training. But I know that everybody has a different role in it. I mean, there are people who never see action. There are people who work in sanitation. They got people that work as in the legal field. You know, the JAG Corps, stuff like that. So they all serve a different version. What's up, Captain
I
PY
was
two?
more shout out to Captain as well. I was more of a engineer. I know about, you know, pipes, valves, you know, painting stuff purple, tools, electrical boxes. I'm more of that. And my actual title in the Navy, I was an aviation bosun mate fueler. I handled JP5, the, you know, stuff like that, but just the equipment involving it, to include pumps, pipes, valves, all that good stuff. But
Right.
yeah, when it comes to that, just you know, you see a person who, you know, you would think they have some type of understanding of firearms. Many people don't, and that's obvious what's in this bill that's in front of us.
Well, let's go further into the bill and some other things that are in it. We're talking about ending Biden, and I don't know if it's on here, but I'm assuming there's going to be problems. Biden is talking about banning military-style weapons, also ending. Uh, we're talking about ending the sale of ammunition and firearms online, which still you cannot buy a gun online. You still have to go to an FFL dealer. Uh,
Absolutely.
you
Like
can
you
order.
can see a firearm listed, let's say at at a black owned business in California, Redstone Firearms. If I saw what I wanted on their site, I will have to go to a local FFL dealer in my area and have them make that transaction. Then I go to them. I still fill out the same form through the AF the ATF, get my, you know, present the proper identifying credentials at the place, and then actually purchase. So it's not as if I'm going on Craigslist or, you know, or Amazon Prime and buying one. That's not how it happens.
Yeah, and we're looking further here. We're talking about, yeah, Redstone Firearms. Shout out to them. I haven't bought anything from them or anything like that. I mean, I don't, but you can order stuff. I'm not. You still go through them. Uh, Obviously, with the FFL, if you're out there in California, the gun industry too. I got to talk to you about that. It's very. We know it's mostly white. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting story. I have to tell you. I have a friend of mine who is a teacher on concealed carry, and we've been talking about certain things in that business. And during the pandemic, he had a cousin or friend that lived, I want to say California, but I could be wrong. But he was looking to order, I guess, some ammunition or firearms. And the owner of that business actually asked him, "What color are they?"
Okay.
During the pandemic, asked him, "What color were you?"
Mm-hmm.
So that's a dead giveaway about what they think about black people with firearms and guns. And you got to realize too, we're going to them, making them even more money because this is a
Mm-hmm.
multi-billion-dollar industry. There are very few black-owned, gun shops. Very few ammunition manufacturers. Very rare, but it's worth billions of dollars, and it may be something even we could people can be interested in learning about how to make money
Well,
from.
we absolutely have some, and that's one thing that one of the perks to being a veteran is that we're able to go and purchase items on base. So I know that when I go to like the Navy Exchange or the Marine Corps Exchange, I'm dealing with I'm on base. I'm not saying that the looks don't happen, but I'm more prone to go to there because I know the price is the price is the price.
Prices are a little bit more cheaper.
It's just you don't pay tax on base.
Right, no taxes. Yeah, well, that's
Hmm.
always good.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So that's one of the perks.
you see why I'm trying to be in the jag.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's read further. I've looked at this. They're talking about prohibiting a certain amount of ammunition. If we read further, ladies and gents, you can see here they're talking about. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. They're talking about banning. It's unlawful for a person to possess 50 caliber or greater. I don't know who has that right now. It's not something we can purchase at Academy.
Hmm.
And it's illegal to have a large capacity ammunition feeding device. They want to ban the sale of drums. This includes the term large capacity ammunition feeding device means a magazine, belt, drum, feed strip that can be readily converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition, but does not include a tubular device designed to accept and capable of operating only with 22 caliber rimfire ammunition. And you look at the penalties. You violate any of these sections, they basically make this a felony.
Hmm.
This is a felony on your record if you own any of these and you don't register them. Banning the sale of certain ammunition. We're talking about registering your guns, letting them know where you put them. They say, and this is what you talk about, military style weapon. And they got right here, code AR-15. The AR-15, as you stated, stands for Armalite. That's the company that made it.
They
Has
keep saying it. Hmm.
has nothing to do with an assault rifle. An assault rifle would be a machine gun, if anything like that. And you would have to have a lot of money to be able to afford something like that. The Las Vegas shooter, and I honestly don't think that was him per se doing that. Even if he were involved, I think there were multiple people that were helping out because there were people even reporting a second gunman. They even said the police timeline was incorrect. Uh,
Hmm.
but really, realistically, no one can afford anything like this, and those things aren't for sale out
Right.
in the general public. Uh, you know, a criminal will be able to get any type of gun he wants if he goes through the black market. He can go get a Uzi. He can get an AK-47 converted to an automatic. He can get if he's got the cheese, he can get a machine gun, an M60. I love to have one myself personally, but I don't have the money.
But here's the thing. I should have found the article and sent it to you, but there are articles that come out, okay, ban military style weapons. What is a military style weapon? Like the jargon is so vague and it's so general. It's like, okay, what are you talking about? And it's great that we have an attorney here tonight. And because when I hear military style weapon, I think of what the military carries: a Beretta M9, okay, a Mossberg, shotgun. Like, what is a military style weapon? It's not defined. They're just throwing these terms out there to get you thinking like, oh my gosh, the military this, but they don't talk about when military shipments of arms go missing and nobody can find those. So if you can't go out and buy it, I see these shipments be coming up missing, and I don't think anybody who looks like us is doing it.
All right, I don't know what happened. Somehow we got kicked out. What's up, D Bailey? Let's see if we get Tieesha back. There she is. What happened?
I don't know. I saw the thinking wheel and we was getting on that, so I think we get a little hot on his live streams. I know what tends to happen when you start getting places.
Yeah, of course. That's the censors. This
But
talk.
yeah, absolutely. But I'm like this. It's so vague. And then one thing that's like okay too, like you were saying, the privacy. It's saying that there should be a publicly available database of this registry.
That's the Fourth Amendment issue too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Fourth Amendment and it's a Fifth Amendment because remember, Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures of your persons, places, effects, uh, as and also the Fifth Amendment protects you from your right against self-incrimination.
Self-information. Mm-hmm.
Telling the government if they're asking me to turn over my firearms or at least tell me where I store my firearms at any moment, they can try and come in to try and take your weapons.
And then those who can't obtain one through the proper channels or with all these fees, these licensing fees, this insurance imposed, they'll know where yours is. Okay, let's just go shopping.
And that's another problem too. Is when I talked about this about a month and a half ago, we had Judge Joe Brown, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur, brother Sean James. Sean, shout out to him. He comes on all the time. Sure you've seen our live streams, and brother Bernard, who's in the building. But yeah, you look at this stuff. Let's pull up the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. I want everybody to look at it because, in spite of the racial history that this country has, and you look, and of course, with the exception of the Three-Fifths Compromise, the Constitution is not that bad of a document. It's not that bad of a document in what it says. But when we look at it, the United States Bill of Rights, you look clearly right here. It says that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. By rule, if you guys are required to turn all of that information over and let them know where your guns are, you're doing something called consent.
Mm-hmm.
You are giving them permission, essentially, although maybe not technically see it, well, essentially it does get around to that because you're disclosing that to them. They will come in, and if they find that you're unfit, they can actually they can actually seize your weapons. Keep in mind and bear in mind, uh, recent Supreme Court rulings like the case of District of Columbia versus Heller. The Supreme Court had ruled that the Second Amendment guarantees a fundamental right to bear arms. However, they had an initial caveat with that, which was messed up. They stated that that doesn't mean which guns cannot be regulated, can be regulated. That ownership of guns can't be regulated. So they left the door open in regards to what firearms they may be able to regulate or not. However, where this is so extreme is that it allows uh, it allows different individuals, government individuals, to come and seize your weapons if they find that you're unfit. If you didn't pay a licensing fee, the fees are expensive in and of itself. If you look at the fees here, you got to pay for the licensing for just focus on this. You got to pay for the ammunition. You got to pay for the registration. You got to pay for the psychiatric evaluation. It says here you also got to pay for insurance.
Yep.
And for 1 year period that begins on the date when the policy is issued, and it's $800.
So in little of itself, it's like a uninsured motorist fee for your vehicle. Like what in the world,
Right. It's hell of expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It will be hell of expensive. So I would not want to pay YouTube any money with this.
I already
Oh,
have
now I
insurance. I have
think
insurance on my vehicle, on my homes, myself. You know, we already have that. So it's just a cash grab, you know, and it's only going to put those at a disadvantage who are already struggling to, you know, go out and purchase, you know, their firearm and even purchase the ammunition. I got a email today of a company where I purchased from, and I'm like, who, you know, I'm glad I got it while the getting was good, because right now this sucks, you know. And you know, it's like how they were gas gouging back in like 2008. It's like the
Mhm.
gouge, okay, you know, just outrageous, and it's putting those at a disadvantage. You know, it could be someone who really is concerned and needs that protection. They can't afford to. So what happens? Thefts, you know, and things like that. So is this is totally not good at all.
It is not good. And eventually, though, I'm just wondering what will happen if you do all of that and there's another mass shooting. Tieesha, think about this. What handguns come next?
And when you look at the active shooters, the mass shooters, they always classify the person as a lone wolf. So why do I have to pay for that? If this is a lone wolf, an isolated incident, treat it as such. You know, but when it comes to things when it involves firearms, it's blanketed for everyone versus treating it as what they say, a lone wolf, isolated event, mental, you know, whatever's happening is this person's personal life, whatever else is happening, but it's blanketed and responsible people have to pay for that.
Yeah, well, I think what it is, though, right, in truthfulness, though, too, is that they are trying to, it goes beyond, it goes beyond even that. What they're trying to do essentially is make you powerless. You know, uh, the first thing that a dictator does when they come into power is that they take the firearms from the people. You
Mhm.
look at Hitler when he went invaded Poland, they issued an order asking all the Polish residents to turn in their guns. The Jews. You look
Mhm.
at the what happened in the Philippines with Ferdinand Marco. His first day in office, he gave the citizens 48 hours to turn in all firearms or else risk the death penalty. Same thing in Cambodia, Pol Pot, uh, Mao in China. There's a
Mhm.
whole bunch of them you can think of. I would never want to be unarmed. And I look at it this way: you do not want to be unarmed while everyone else has is armed. You certainly, I'll give up my gun like Ice T said when everybody else does.
Mhm.
If the military gives up their firearms, I'll give mine's up. Until then, the thugs and criminals, they give up theirs, I'll give up mine. Until then, I'm staying strapped. You stay strapped. And, you know, look even at Australia. This is a perfect example. Back in the 90s, Australia, they banned all weapons. They
New
did a whole,
Zealand.
it was in Australia, I believe. They did a assault weapons ban, and
Mhm.
the crime increased. Break-ins increased. And those countries didn't even have a definition in the law for a break-in, a
Mhm.
burglary.
Mhm.
So you think about that for a second. Would you want to be alone in a house? 911 can't stop, can't get there on time. They cannot stop an invasion. Police officers can only respond, as you know, as a former cop, you respond to the crime. You can't actually stop it if it's happened.
Right. You can do all you can to be proactive. And I was talking with somebody about that. Like I made sure when even when I was on day shift, people are leaving to go to work, so you patrol those areas. You look for, if a door is getting kicked in, an open door, nighttime, people in parking lots, stuff like that. So you try to be proactive, but you can't stop everything, and that's why having the public that is confident, that's what we call it, community policing. You go out and well, how our definition was for my division was that, you go out, engage, you teach the public. Many people don't know in regards to firearms, your local police department at times will host a free range day open to the public where you can go
Yes.
and, train with their weapons, receive instruction, free ammo. Okay. So
Yeah.
many people don't know about these outreach programs and stuff like that.
I want to ask you something, and I'm going to ask you off air a little bit later, but
Mhm.
I guess I wouldn't want to say it on YouTube just because. So just remind me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good idea to do. But yeah, but we have here in Louisiana, like New Orleans is a very. I don't know how it is in Atlanta. Well, you don't live in Atlanta. You live in Macon. Excuse me. But I I mean they're both Louisiana in general. The South in general is very pro Second Amendment. I use
Mhm.
it to my advantage, and I know that. For instance, but I live in a liberal parish. You guys have counties, we call it parishes. New
Mhm.
Orleans is very liberal, and they're very strict in terms of guns and so forth. However, we still live in this state, and I was just curious if you knew what it was like in Atlanta, as far or any of my people who are in Atlanta that are on YouTube. How is it with the concealed carry and so forth? Uh, I don't know if you
Oh,
knew.
concealed carry here was really easy. I actually got my concealed carry permit prior to getting my Georgia driver's license. Actually, I got that first. But yeah, when I was in Virginia, because I was military, I didn't have to take. I believe it was like a 8-hour class. I just went to the local police department, the headquarters. I brought, I think, my active duty ID card. I was fingerprinted, but then at the same time, the lady who was doing my fingerprint, she remembers seeing me for my interview on the police department. So she's like, "Hey, you really don't have to do this because once you graduate the academy." But I'm like, I'm just here. So I got it in Virginia. But in Virginia, you either needed to take a class or be active duty. Of course, this was like back in what, 2009, 2008. But here, I then also got one up in Washington State. Washington State, I went to the sheriff's office, filled out the application, paid the fee, had my fingerprints taken. They mailed me a laminated card
Right.
within a couple of weeks. Here in Georgia, I had to make an appointment, bring certain documents, went to the courthouse, paid my fees, and got my picture taken, and that was it.
All right, that is not that complicated here.
Uh-huh.
Like when I got my concealed carry license, you take a class. Uh, like we, unfortunately, like in New Orleans, they don't have any gun range out here. But usually in the outskirts parishes like Saint Bernard, Jefferson Parish, certainly in St. Tammany, we can get those. But you take a class, it's like all day on a Saturday. You pay your fee, you get fingerprinted, you fill out your form. You to get your concealed carry license, you got to fill out a form on the state police's website, and they'll eventually get back with you. Uh, I think they allow you to take pictures and get fingerprinted either at the state police's locations or you can get it at the sheriff's office, one of the two. But that's what I remember, and I've gotten my stuff renewed constant. I get it renewed every 4 years and so forth. As a veteran, and you can get yours at a discounted price if you serve
Mhm.
in the military. If you're active duty, I think it's even less, uh, a lesser amount. But yeah, but this was King Bernard said. Bernard said he wants to have you come on his show, his channel. He says you were in Virginia. This is a crazy state. Uh,
And last night we were actually talking about Virginia, and when you saw, those who were recklessly handling a firearm, it was those, that we saw in uniform.
Yeah, I do want to talk at least one thing about as a police officer about not the Virginia incident, but your thoughts on what happened with DeAndre Wright. Before I get into that, DeAndre Mosley, shout out to her, and shout out to Black Mama and Melvin McCauley on their gift. Thank you very much, Black Mama. It's always a pleasure to see you. They asked, what were your thoughts on the security guards that were fired for not intervening? I take it that's up in New York. uh, with regards to the Asian that got attacked. You had any thoughts about it, real quick? I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I side with the doorman who did not intervene because that was not their post. Being in the Navy, we have our general orders. I will not relieve or leave my post until properly relieved. So they did the same thing. That was their post. They stood it. They did not go through any type of training to intervene in that. That was
Yeah,
not their problem. And even when I was a police officer, there was an incident in Norfolk, Virginia. You can look it up. It happened around 2007, 2008, and there was a plain clothes. I know he was plain clothes. I'm not sure if that was his assignment or he was just off duty, but he was, actively engaged in, diffusing a situation. Uniformed officers killed him. Okay, and this was one of their own. So we were always told, okay, either you you have your gun and you have your badge and you choose to engage, or you just be a good witness. You relay the pertinent information to dispatch if you were off duty or plain clothes and you cannot properly be identified as a police officer, because as we saw, it's they call it friendly fire, but I don't have any friends that I think would kind of shoot at me. But this what they call it, a blue on blue. But there's been incidents recently where security guards, who diffuse a fight or something, and they put a person in custody, where the city or county police show up and kill the security guard. So I'm not going to get involved in something where I'm mistaken as one of the offenders and I lose my life. But their job description did not entail that. I've had hours upon hours of training and scenarios on how to
right.
respond to these situations, and even then you still have that danger of losing your life. You will see police officers responding to domestics, responding to different things, and they still lose their life. So there's no absolute training to keep you safe. I do not expect the average citizen to get involved in anything. They do not have that training. They are not covered. Workman's comp is a BITCH, because I've had my A word. I've been in use of force, not really use of force, but in fights on camera, and workman's comp tried to say they wasn't responsible. So
Yeah, of course.
do
That's
not
their
get
duty.
involved in that. Your insurance is not going to cover you. You're not trained. That's not your business. Please do everyone a
That's the
favor,
main
and
thing.
be a good witness. Okay.
Well, that's the main thing, is that first off, there was no legal obligation for him to actually
Mm-hmm.
be involved in that. Whether you like them or not, or whether you think that they had a moral duty to do it, I think the reason why those guys chose not to do anything was because of the ramifications that could follow. And who's to say they wouldn't be fired anyway for intervening in that? Certainly, I saw Michael Baisden, and Baisden's been off code for a long time. Michael Baisden had a post where he said it was good that these guys should be fired, and people lit into him over that.
Absolutely, because
These guys don't
it's
know the
not that
law.
they did nothing. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They were responsible for the perimeter of that building, that post of that building. They did absolutely everything
Right.
they were supposed to do.
And I mean, if they call the police, that's one thing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think they could do that. But I mean, they were not going to what they thought was lose their jobs. And then there's also a liability issue,
Mm-hmm.
because you assault one of those that guy in any way, shape, or form, then guess what will happen? He's filing a lawsuit against you.
One thing too that we also,
It
well,
makes it simple.
that I had training on as well, is that there would be these bait incidents that will bait you out, that will pull you into something. Because we always talk about, when it comes to tactical positioning, stuff like that, and when you approach a door, that fatal funnel, for some reason, police officers are drawn to the fatal funnel, but you're like, no, you need to take a tactical position. There are incidents that will happen where people would, have something going on, like the get your hand out of my pocket, to get your attention drawn that way, where something else is going on. They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Right. Right. I so yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. And I did want to ask you your position too while I have you here. I guess we can move into that on the yeah, Derek, off the radio, Michael Bazin. I don't know what this Michael Bazin was. I remember when he got kicked off the radio with Cumulus. And I'm going to make this point before and you're going to jump into it, I see. But let me say this. I got rid of and tired of some of these old niggas on radio a long time ago. Uh, even with Tom Joyner, because Tom Joyner was playing the same old crap. I really lost a lot of respect with Tom Joyner. I'm taking my headphones off. I lost respect with Tom Joyner when he put out a piece, and you can go look it up, on Bill Cosby, saying how Bill Cosby should just go ahead and take a plea deal. And Bill Cosby, whenever Tom Joyner had a show, what he called the Sky Show back in the day, where he would go to a different city, do different shows, and raise money for historically black colleges and universities, which is a great thing. He would be in Philadelphia. Guess who would be there doing his show for nothing?
Who's that?
Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
They frat brothers too, by the way. So for him to put that hit piece out there, Omega Sci-Fi, for him to put a hit piece out like that and just say Bill Cosby should take a plea deal without letting the facts of everything play out, it was insulting that he did that. And pushed this whole thing with Obama. You couldn't say anything critical of Barack. He was basically the second coming of Jesus Christ, and in many of their eyes, he still is. I lost respect for that. Bazin, I had respect for him when he was doing the Jenna 6 back in 07. I respected that. But yeah, he's been way off code with this stuff, and I don't know if he's trying to get back on air or what exactly, but I didn't agree with this. But I get real tired of these Negroes flat out that are pushing a lot of this stuff.
I heard Michael Bazin last year because his radio show would come on, and after I finished my cross country drive, I said I'm not paying for satellite radio no more, so I started listening to the local FM channels, and I just really could not stand that he was just very emotional. And that's not attractive. The whole thing they was pushing people to do last year. And, I'm like, this is just ugly to see these grown men. And so I sat down and I wrote down everyone who had this radio show geared towards the urban community or Black people. And I noticed they had a common denominator, and it was military or sorority ties. And that's when I just started. I'm not saying everybody in a sorority or anything like that, but I'm saying there was a common denominator. And then I just noticed the same characteristics, very emotional and, just putting you at a sense of urgency, like you got to do this or else. And, just real terrible. And Michael Bazin, I'm done.
Yeah, we've been done. Yeah, man. But I got rid of him. I'm glad I stopped listening to him a long time ago. They're good to take his show off there, as far as I'm concerned. I remember when he had, he had a talk show too on TV One. Derek said you didn't miss anything, Captain PYQ. Yeah, look, and I respect his hustle because he was a train driver up in Chicago and was selling books out of his car and so forth till he got to where he wanted to be. That's great. You got to hustle with stuff. You want something done, you got to tour. I don't take no for an answer myself either with stuff. If somebody tells me I can't do this, I'm going to try and find another way I'm going to do it. And it's good when you can own the house where the door is, so that way you don't have to deal with people slamming it in your face. So, but he was way off code with this one. So, yeah. But yeah, man. But and the other one too. Who's the other Black radio host we got? What?
Ricky Smiley. You got DL Hughley.
Yeah. What y'all ass say? Welcome to the ride, y'all. It's the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait.
That one.
Yeah, hold on a second. Wait, hold on. Yeah. This ain't your
Oh my goodness.
The versus challenge. This ain't your mama music. This is your grandmother make love music to your grandfather, whippersnapper.
No.
Talking 1964 when I was still a little boy. Woo! And you know, the Isley Brothers came on, and I heard that song, This Old Heart of Mine, and I just said, these brothers gonna be great. Oh, it was good with a side of watermelon. Yeah. Then I heard Earth, Wind, and Fire. That was in 1975-ish. 75.
Oh, wow.
That's the way of the world. Oh Lord, I just enjoyed myself. Woo! Yeah, the verses is all about me, Steve Harvey. Survey says, good ass host. Now.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I got the said part right though. I could do said better than Godfrey, but I see you're annoyed by that, Tieesha. I'll stop.
No, it was actually great. That Steve Harvey gets on my GD nerves. Like I cannot stand. I cannot watch Family Feud. I remember watching it as a little girl. I think the host was Ray Combs.
Yeah, I remember.
But now when I watch
you
it,
don't like my suits, young lady. Yeah.
I don't give a dang, you know, like I can't. The questions, the answers, it's not my thing. And that's like, you know, we can do a whole another show. I know we're talking about the bill, but another show that they, you know, kind of ran into the ground is I watched the newest Supermarket Sweep. We used to watch that coming up.
Oh yeah.
Leslie Jones and whatever they on there, that is not it. It's like, nah, we good.
I'll say this. I do watch Family Feud, and I think, you know, Steve is, I guess you could say, the best host they've had in a long time, because I give credit where credit is due, because Captain.
That was a pretty good impersonation.
Your mama looked like Mr. Ed.
that laugh, you got it.
Yeah. I can shuck corn in one serving.
I mean, I really enjoyed the Steve Harvey show where it was set at the high school. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. I really did.
Say it. You and Levita, y'all gonna have to get on out of here. Yeah, that version. He when he was wearing them zoot suits, coming out looking like Cap Calloway. Poor man. And also
too, when he was the host of Showtime at the Apollo, that was great.
Show your love from Lauren Hill. Well, yeah, when he was, I loved it when Sinbad hosted. Yes. Sinbad was better. Even Mark Curry.
Oh heck yeah!
But that was back in, yes, we're talking 80s and 90s.
We were little. We were little.
I'm young. I'm young enough to remember Freddy Krueger even having a show right after Showtime at the Apollo would come on, called Freddy's Nightmares. If you remember that, we used to have the horror movies like that. Freddy's Nightmares and Freddy's Nightmares, Friday the 13th, the show Monsters. I remember Tales from the Crypt.
Yes, love that.
A lot of shows in syndication, like Charles in Charge, Funky Bruce, and things like that. I tried to watch that, but they made Sherry's character, she's an out lesbian.
Like I said, a lot of shows should have just left our childhood and our nostalgia alone.
Well, if they bring back, I would love for them to bring back In Living Color, but I know that it probably would be watered down by today's versions because everybody is sensitive. I don't even think Mad TV could come back now. They tried doing it, and Mad TV, but we got corny ass Saturday Night Live that I can't stand. I think that Lauren Michaels worships the devil because that show should be off the air by now. I should have left when Eddie Murphy. It really should have left when the original cast left, but Eddie Murphy kept it on life support. Mm-hmm. He saved the show from cancellation. So right. Yeah. But okay, we're getting gotta get back to guns. And Roslyn says trash SNL. Yeah, they had some bad skit. The vaccination skit. I didn't even watch it. I'm listen, people. If you send me something from SNL, I'm gonna be more pissed at you because you watch SNL more than I am the skit. Okay, SNL is not funny. Why bother? I've tried to watch some of it. The writing is awful. You know,
Absolutely. And Negroes go on there and they act a full out fool for some attention, rather allowing their talent or lack of to shine.
and they had Kid Cudi in his in a dress. Yeah. Well, the music sucks anyway. So let's get back to the.
Yes, one
Oh, go
thing.
ahead,
If
finish.
one thing, if I can bring up in regards to the bill, and one of the things that came up was prohibiting. So let's say I have a firearm that I wanted to sell to you. First of all, I have to be licensed, and to sell to you, you have to be licensed because it prohibits transfer of sale to an unlicensed person. Now, since I reside down here in beautiful Georgia, I talked to some people who are from Florida and stuff like that, and so we were talking about if someone has a firearm, they want to sell it, and I heard a conversation and I had to go verify it. Like, hey, if we're in Florida, we don't have to go and do like take it to a gun store, fill out the paperwork, pay the transfer fee. We just have to agree. I have to verify you're not one of the prohibited persons from owning or buying a firearm. Make sure you're at least 21. We can make this sale in a public place and go on about our business. And I'm like, I say what? Because previously, we had to go in other states. We had to go to a shop. You pay the transfer fees at the gun store, to handle it that way. And I've even had at times where when it was like a private sale or something, or anything in general, when it comes to something that has a serial number, as a police officer, I had to go and do what they call an assist public to go and verify that the serial numbers, or a VIN, if it's like a private car sale, that vehicle does not come back as stolen. But yeah, in Florida, you can, transfer your firearm to another person however you see fit. However, with this bill here, a licensed person can only, transfer to another licensed person. So what do you think about that?
I think it sucks.
Absolutely.
The deal again, and I'm looking at this too. We're talking about renewal of the light. We're talking about, for those that are just tuning in, House Bill 127, HR 127. Let's tie it into what Biden has also put. I want to make sure we talk about Lloyd Bridges from Hot Shots 2, who's our president. I'm sorry, I don't care, because look, I just think that these gun control laws are bad. But this is his. I shared this last time on my channel when we had Sean come on, and Captain PY2 asks, "Can you advise him the best way to check if a used gun is clear without asking for police assistance?"
You can ask that person for their original bill of sale.
That's one way. Yeah, original bill of sale.
And then you can ensure that the serial numbers aren't scraped off or not there either.
But this is, that's another sure way to look at the serial numbers, look at original bill of sale. This is the link to the bill for you, Rosalind. But this is some of the stuff that Biden is proposing. His Justice Department. They want to stop the proliferation of ghost guns, which means components that you can use to make him finish a firearm. People do that already. But if you think about that, that's a waste of time, because you can't stop somebody from buying. I mean, Timothy McVeigh supposedly used fertilizer to blow up the federal building out in Oklahoma. He used ammonium nitrate you use cow shit essentially.
Mhm.
But I mean, you can't ban. Can I ban cow shit?
Right. These are all things that you can purchase at Lowe's, Home Depot, or the Gordon section at Walmart.
Right. You can't ban that. Uh, you look at this. It's talking about issuing an annual report from the ATF.
Mm-hmm.
Appointing Dave Chipman. Don't know much about him. Need to do some research, but he wants to be the director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Red flag laws that allow family members or law enforcement to petition for a court order. Oh, here we go.
Right.
Temporarily barring people in crisis from accessing firearms if they present a danger to themselves or others. So this is monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sounds very similar, almost similar to HR 127. That little section about licensing.
Right. And the thing of it is, when it comes to, people making complaints, like anybody can point the blame, like, oh, I think this person is doing this. And we see law enforcement, not having that, that training. And I don't even want to call it training, but they are not the ones to, decipher a person's psychological well-being. They're not credentialed, qualified to do that, and I don't trust it. Being a Black woman, and a veteran, I own firearms. We all know what happens online with what it's called swatting. Anybody can make up something on me, and next thing you know, they're pulling that on me, and I have no way to fight it. I'm just locked away somewhere for 3 days, because somebody made up something on me. So that's
Right.
very
That's
that's very dangerous.
right. That's what happened to Tariq Nasheed.
Exactly. I was swatted before as well. So yeah, these you can't do that based on somebody. They got a vendetta against you, and I could sit here and say 5 cuss words in a row, and it would say that I'm having a mental crisis, I'm unstable, the angry Black woman, she's a veteran. I was even called Christopher Dorner when I was with the department. So these accusations can come from anywhere, and then this person is left, with their constitutional rights violated because of an accusation that someone else made.
Yeah, that's dangerous. I want to give a shout out to, this is a Black owned amp gun store. I believe he's trying to create a manufacturing store as well. This is Jaden Guns and Ammo. I found them on Facebook. Let me share that with you all so you guys can check them out. Jaden Guns and Ammo. So everyone can take a look right
Okay,
here.
thank you.
Let me share the screen. But here it is right here. It seems to be a Black-owned company. You can check out their. I guess this is the link to their website, jadenguns.com. Jadenguns.com. Be sure to support them if you can. Buy if they got ammunition that you need. I'm interested in buying it. I have no problem supporting my Black-owned businesses for my brothers and sisters.
Just like it.
Yeah. I'll like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, because this is a very hard business to break into, and I know they deal with a lot of, like I said again, they deal with a lot of crap. So that's just I'm gonna certainly reach out to them. Oh, they got 40 Smith and Wesson. How many? Let me ask you this, Tieesha. What do you recommend, especially for nowadays, with regards to you're into what guns do you recommend typically for a concealed carry holder?
That is a great question, and I get a lot of questions like that. Like, what is a good, what in quotes, what is a good gun for my first gun, things like that. And I put out a series of questions, okay, and I'm happy that you specified concealed carry. It's going to depend on your body type, the holsters that you can find, and the attire that you wear, your activity, what's available, what you can afford, and what you actually researched and you're comfortable using. Because I have two small caliber or what you call a subcompact. My first one, it was a Glock 27, which is a 40 cal. I have a video on my YouTube channel on how I thought about selling it because it just was not a good fit for me. You know, as a woman, they'll say, "Oh, get you a cute gun you put in your purse," and which is not good. But that was the absolute worst firearm for me. But I had to make, I won't say modifications. I had to buy some accessories to it, and you can find that on my YouTube channel. Then a purchase I made about a year ago was I purchased a SIG P365. Absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It's lightweight. It's a 9 millimeter, and it's ergonomically correct. Firearm styles change. They'll swap out and make the grip better. They'll do something else. Different things. They change. So I would say there's so many. Go to a gun store, a gun range where you can, rent a firearm. If you have a friend that has some firearms, like, hey, I'll bring the ammo and clean them. Can you teach me? Can I try yours? Have at it. Find what you like. There's so many. Don't go off of what I say because, I'm different. I've had, I put thousands of rounds down range. So, it's gonna feel different, but just research, explore. Definitely when you go to purchase, read your owner's manual, stuff like that. And my camera actually just went out, but I'll be right back with another camera. I'm sorry, because I forgot to plug it up once I started.
Yeah. So as you know, Tieesha says it depends on your body type and what exactly you're interested in. I recommend personally, I have a 9 millimeter. That's actually one of the most popular uh, handguns in the country.
Calibers, yes.
Popular calibers, rather.
But it's also, it's hard to find out because it's so popular. Everybody's looking for it.
That's the only downside to it. Yeah. Well, I mean, even the 40s, the Smith and Wessons, that's very popular. Those are hard to find. Uh, you know, they don't make, or they have started to make. Colt has started to make the 357 Magnums, back the Pythons. My dad loved that gun. He has one. So those are classic. I don't know about it being used for a concealed carry, but it definitely can be used for home defense and it can blow a head off.
The one thing I do not recommend, like I said, I'll research a whole bunch of stuff, but I believe it is the double action rifle. I'm not double action rifle, double action revolver. I would not recommend that. Yeah, as a concealed carry at all, because with that, if you drop it, it may fire. So,
right.
Or if you fall or drop it, I do not recommend that.
The Glock handguns that I have, that I have the 9, it has a safety trigger on it. So if you drop it, it doesn't go off. You got to pull the hammer, the safety, and the hammer back, the trigger back far enough for it to go off. So I like having that gun.
But it takes a lot of training. I would say look into a basic firearms course, because more than likely they'll have some firearms for you to hold, test the trigger pull, dry fire, teach you different things, and you can see like what you may have an idea for. So when you go to rent one, or you may just be like me and be like, look, I came here to buy an iPad. They ain't got no iPad, so I bought a gun. So I would say definitely training, with a qualified person that, has a wealth of knowledge. And it's the difference between someone who owns firearms. Okay, you can own a whole bunch of guns, but are you a good teacher? And I find that that's what turns a lot of people off. They had someone who was, their father, a friend, or whatever, instructor in the military or somewhere, and they tried to teach them, and they were just the most horrible wannabe instructor ever, and it just completely turned him off from firearms. Make sure you find someone that has a passion, the patience, the knowledge, and that is there to progress you versus making you regress.
Yeah. Most definitely. And I recommend, especially here in New Orleans, I got a good friend of mine. Shout out to Angel Arms. I don't know if Isaiah's watching, but Angel Arms, his brother, has been around for Isaiah's been around for 3 years. Good brother. He has been active in teaching people how to use their firearms, how to get their concealed carry, teaches a concealed carry course, firearm safety, a bunch of things. Also, shout out to 2A Coffee and to the Black Gun Owners Association, which I am the local president here, Black Gun Owners Association of New Orleans. Uh, that is we're active, in the fight and so forth. So those are good things to do. Uh, so I do want to ask you this because I don't want to keep you any further. I don't know if you have to run, but I wanted to know your thoughts, though, very briefly uh, or take your time with regards to the DeAndre Watson or DeAndre Wright shooting, because we talked a little bit yesterday. I was a guest on your show about contextual stops and felony stops with regards to the Virginia the Army lieutenant out in Virginia who was almost ambushed. Well, he was ambushed, but almost deadly ambush that would have happened. But this situation would happen with Mr. Wright. I had on a brother, Ken Williams, who is a former police officer, retired. He talked about de-escalation and also how there was no excuse for what happened. This was at best manslaughter that took place. But what were your thoughts in looking at that video that happened? Because he does have a warrant for his arrest for missing a court date, but it's a misdemeanor warrant. It wasn't he didn't have an outstanding warrant on a felony. And of course, he did resist and try and drive off. But this other officer, Kim Potter, who shot him and killed him, claiming that it was an accident. The police chief Tim Gannon actually stepped down. Yeah, I just wanted to know what were your thoughts on it.
The video was very, very disturbing, and so not having too much to go on, to kind of build a picture. We have what's presented to us, and then some things after the fact. So when I look at the officer who used the force, where she says, "Okay, approaching here, this is not proper, control. That's not like." When you go to, take someone into custody, you maintain proper control, and she did not do that. Next thing you see that she has she says a taser, but she has a piece of paper in one hand. When you're going into, effect an arrest, that's open hand control. Why do you have paper and crap in your hand? Also, too,
And did she lose her gun in the car?
Say that one more time.
It looks like she lost her gun after she shot him.
I believe it was still in her hand, but okay, let's touch on this part. The positioning of your items on your duty belt. And I qualify. I was tased in the academy, and if you look at the officer, if you can pause this right here, we can pause it if you can. The officer that's standing to her right, he has his taser. You will assume, looking at this, that this is a right-handed officer. His duty firearm would be on his right hip, and his taser is placed on his left hip at a cross draw position, and that is done purposely. When you're in the academy, you practice drawing. You qualify at the range. You actually wear your duty belt and everything where it's placed throughout the academy, and it's going to stay that same way. When I'm looking at the officer that used the deadly force, Kim Potter, it was saying that she's been on the department since around 1995. That's about 26 years. So,
and she's the former president of the union.
26 years. So I've seen that she has some plain clothes activity, assignments, and she's just been sent back out on the street to be a field training officer. I'm questioning, who makes an officer who's nearing retirement a field training officer? Usually those are the salt dogs, the old ones who's just trying to hide out, get them a cushy job and ride out until retirement. So I want to know what happened that took her off of this plainclothes assignment and put her back in uniform being a FTO. Usually you'll see a field training officer anywhere from, just a few years off of probation. I want to say till probably around, I don't know, like maybe 16, 15 years if that officer chooses not to go in the supervisory ladder. So something happened where she came off of that plain clothes assignment. She's back in uniform. Then, I've had arrests and my field training officer was right there. Why was I'm not sure if the guy who was attempting to take him into custody was her trainee or not, but to be a senior officer, a field training officer on the scene, this was a straight shit show. But then that firearm is coming off of that right hip. As you see, she's right-handed. Right. When you go to draw and you're standing on that fire line, or you're standing in some kind of modified or isosceles position. As you see, the taser has a different weight and it's a different grip than the firearm. And we see it on the body cam. You see the sights. You obviously can see that is a pistol. I'm thinking what she's doing, and this is a term that I'm hearing around, on body cam and things like that. One thing is the body cams are revealing a lot, where these officers are going rogue, and thankful to the people in the IT or those who are responsible for recovering this footage. You'll hear statements such as don't make case law today. And what this immediately took me to is that excuse of the race soldier who executed Oscar Grant, who, he was in handcuffs and, I thought I pulled my taser. I see this being a copycat of that and trying to make case law and, do this before she retires. But there's something else in this situation, but this should not have happened. Also, too, we were all well, if you're carrying a taser, I wonder if she was actually carrying a taser at the time of that, because I didn't see that, if she was actually carrying a taser. But being in plain clothes, even when you're in plain clothes, that your duty weapon sits ideally where it would sit in uniform. But something is obviously wrong here, and I think this is an attempt to do case law, and something else is wrong. The chief of police, I believe, he stepped down, or he was fired.
He stepped down. Down. Both. Well, let me school everyone what happened today. I talked about this earlier. He stepped down, as well as Kim Potter. But yesterday, they had what I thought was a biggest. I watched it, and I watched bits and pieces of it, but I had a chance to look at it. But it was a complete shit show of a press conference where the city manager is contradicting the mayor. Yes. The mayor was saying that he supported the termination of this officer. The city manager was saying she's entitled to due process. I don't believe she should be fired. So what city council did later that day, and I believe it was they actually gave the mayor control. They voted in the emergency session, gave the mayor control power over the police department, and he immediately fired the city manager. He also, the police chief, Tim Gannon, actually left the press conference. He left the press conference while it was still going on, not taking any more questions. And they asked the mayor, do you have any reason why the police chief leaves the conference while we're still doing the conference? And I think 20 minutes later or 15 minutes later, he comes back and blames it and says, well, I thought the BCA was still going to be, we're going to be handling the questions from now on. I apologize and so forth. But, he's up there, he gets emotional, and eventually he just agrees to step down. So there is something going on there. I think he knows that his officer his officer messed up. He tried to say, and I hate this thing that I'm seeing from the police department where these officers, these police chiefs become public defense attorneys for their officers. How can you get inside the brain of your officer if you don't know all the facts that happen? You're talking about there's still an investigation. You can't tell whether she did it accidentally or not. And even if it was a accident, that doesn't excuse you from liability, criminal or civil. This is obviously at worst it's murder, or at best or maybe manslaughter, or at best it's a negligent homicide.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because me, and also too, there comes a point in time. Okay, I know with use of force and the gram factors and stuff like that. It was really, really horrible how this played out, because also too, you have one officer up here attempting to remove a subject from a vehicle and arrest him by himself, placement of cuffs by himself. But then you see the Kim Potter show up. She didn't even maintain proper control. She had control of that arm. She could have gained compliance to put on those cuffs, but to also remove him and prevent him from re-entering the vehicle. It was real shitty tactics all the way around, and they were in control of this person. They controlled that encounter, and there are ways to do it. I've been involved in a use of force situation where it was really bad, but the offender, he had his day in court, and he's still able to call me all types of B words today and whatever. But you have a way to control it, and I believe that many just do what the hell they want to do. They disregard common sense, policy, and just have a total disregard for human life in the public. She shot him. We saw that, but of course you got to get your day in court, and that the vehicle still continued driving until it crashed. There was another citizen in that vehicle, so it was total. Right. Yes, it was total disregard for public safety.
Yeah. Yeah, well, most certainly more is going to come out. I hate watching CNN. I don't like CNN because it is a propaganda show, but I will too. I know my parents. Your parents are still around?
Yes.
Do they watch CNN and stuff like that? The old timers?
No, my mom. What's my mom watching? She watches Power. She watches Power.
Okay, Power, yeah. Well,
that's what she's doing. Say one more time.
You watch Power?
Yes, I did watch Power. I did watch Power Book 2. And whenever someone tells me to check out something, I look at the description. If it's interesting, I'll check it out. Yeah. Well, because I'm totally late finding out about everything. I was late finding out about Lovecraft Country until I continue seeing the comments on my video on Sundown Town. It's like, what is Lovecraft Country another YouTube channel? So I'm always late to the party.
Sundown Town.
Yes.
What's that?
Sundown Towns? You gotta watch my video.
I know what it means, but that's your videos you do?
Yes, I did a video on Sundown Towns, because if you're not familiar, when I was driving across country the second time, I had got a flat tire in Rock Springs, Wyoming, which is suspected sundown town, and I did not experience the type of welcome party that I would experience. But yeah, got to check it out in the vehicle. I mean, not the vehicle, the video. And yeah,
I just saw your video where you were in Covington, Georgia, talking about
in the heat of the night. Yes.
And, yes, my grandparents.
That's what we watched. Me and my mom, we watched that. I still watch it.
No, look, my grandmother was Walker, Texas Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Young and the Restless.
Yep.
All My Children.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I can't forget Dallas. Yeah, my mom and dad, my dad, they'd all go to my grandmother's house and watch Dallas to see that damn JR. Yeah, but in the heat of the night, yeah, because Chief Gillespie, Carol O'Connor was Archie Bunker, which is what I remember. Harold Rollins.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, and you know what? I did not put it together that Carol O'Connor, Chief Gillespie, was Archie Bunker until in college. I just picked this class, and it was American History and Television. And that was probably one of the best classes I ever had, because we had to, study American history through television, and you see a lot of stuff, and that's why we're able to pick things apart and find the how art imitates life, but more so these days is life imitates art. So yeah, it's wild.
Right. I love, yeah. So, I mean, I love television. I mean, I love uh, Fred Sanford and Son that
Yes.
used to come on. Good Times. Uh, as a kid, we had Martin
Hmm.
and Living Color, Living
Living
Single,
single.
Rock. Yeah, and Living Single was the basis for Friends.
Yes, they
Uh,
stole that.
they did. They threw Living Single under the bus, actually, with a
Hmm.
lot of stuff. But yeah, man, New York Undercover was actually
227. Yep.
227. Alf, uh,
Hmm. Family Matters.
Family Matters, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, um,
You might take my
Moesha.
black on this one. I really didn't like Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I didn't like it, and
What?
I really like after I like being an adult and I go back and watch Family Matters. It gets on my nerves because all of their issues could have been avoided had it just locked the door. Steve come into that open door all the time. Just lock the door.
But then again, there would be no show. It would have been
I
canceled.
know, but it just gets on my nerves.
They had to have Matlock and Kojak. Yeah, my grandfather loved Matlock.
Hmm.
I used to watch when I was in college before I became. I used to watch Matlock.
I believe a lot of the scenes. I haven't watched Matlock in a long time, but I believe the courthouse they use is the Fulton County Courthouse.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe
that
so.
was
Yep.
shot in Georgia. It was
Yep.
shot in Georgia early
Hollywood
on,
in the
and then
South.
right, and then later on, I think, of course, I got to mention the Cosby Show. Yeah,
I still
Cosby
watch and
Show,
bring back all the episodes.
a different world.
Hmm.
Uh, I think there's an issue though. I think they were trying to bring a different world back in 2014. People were calling for a reboot, but that was around the time that whole thing with Cosby started. And
Right.
if you do a different world reboot, I gotta pay Bill Cosby, whoever owns it now, they gotta pay Bill Cosby some money because he was the creator of that show. But
Ownership. Hmm.
right, ownership. But yeah, but most definitely, yeah, man, it's taking me back from a long time. Bronson said Friends suck. Fresh Prince of Bel Air, I thought was a great. I love Fresh Prince. I think when they had the original Aunt Viv, that's when it was more authentic because she was real. And I did see their reunion where they acknowledged this. Like we learned more than what was being told. How they tried to make it difficult for her, but Will, they made amends to it, which is I'm happy with. But I heard stories even about the Fresh Prince because how Will Smith got that role because it's based off Benny Medina, and Benny Medina is and
Mm.
who is it? MC Shane had talked about how I guess he was propositioned uh,
Mm.
about that. I don't want to speculate, but I mean I
Yeah.
know that stuff goes on in Hollywood, and
Hmm.
they I know that oh boy, uh, it's like Kid Cudi who was in a dress on SNL. I'm pretty sure he's gonna get every movie deal. He's gonna be in Lee Daniels' new boy. What Lee Daniels is doing a reboot of the Wonder Years. So Kevin Arnold is Mimi Winnie Diver is gonna be a lesbian. Kevin Arnold, I don't know. He may be gender fluid of some sorts. Lee Daniels likes to push that. He pushes dysfunction.
The one thing I must say, like I remember the whole thing about the new Aunt Viv and stuff like that, and she was played by Daphne Maxwell Reed. And I
Yeah,
remember her husband Tim Reed. He was
Tim
in
Reed.
WKRP in Cincinnati. Shout out to my Cincinnati fam. And I didn't see him again until Sister Sister.
Sister as well.
Yes, but I challenge everyone here to go look at the work of Tim Reed. He had his own black studio in Petersburg, Virginia,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
had another series that was short lived called
Frank's
I think it was
Place.
called Frank's Place or Jake's Place.
It was Frank's Place. It was shot in New
Frank's
Orleans. It was
Place,
based off of
absolutely.
right. It was based off of Dookie Chase. Yeah, I remember. I don't remember watching it because it was short lived, but he actually got his start working on the Richard Pryor show.
Hmm.
Richard Pryor had a short lived variety show on NBC, and Paul Mooney had picked Tim Reed to be one of the cast members. I
Hmm.
remember Rock. Ashton says Rock. Rock was a great program. Rock
Shout
didn't
out
have
Rocky
Charles
Carroll who played in it. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He came and spoke to us at my school back in Cincinnati. So yep,
Shout out to Charles S. Dutton too, because
yes,
that he was a strong black man. I loved watching Charles Dutton. They used to be real with
yes.
the topics that they had, whether it was about gang violence or drugs, racism. One of the best episodes I remember was when Rock dealt with the police when he was on trying to paint Joey's housemate's room, and the cops. And I remember this episode vividly when the cops approached him. He's trying to get in,
Right.
yeah, and he gets almost gets killed. Just and it's very relevant today. He's like, "You just arrested me because I'm black man," but that taught us as kids how we are supposed to handle the police when they pull that gun
Right.
out. Just put your hands up. Okay, I'm getting down. I'm getting down. Yeah, things
Hmm.
like that. Rosalind says, "My brother and me, Gullah Gullah Island."
Yes,
Uh,
I actually went to Gullah Gullah Island. If you're able to get out here to the East Coast and check out in South Carolina, go to St. Helena Island, visit all of the islands off the coast of Georgia, Tybee Island, all that good stuff. Yes, that's culture out there. You gotta go.
the Saturday morning cartoons, yeah, real Ghostbusters, the Muppet Babies, He Man, GI Joe, the Bugs and Daffy Show. I remember, hell, I remember when MC Hammer had a cartoon. I remember
Yes.
Alf had a cartoon. A bunch of people had specials. I remember when Urkel was so popular, he had his toy line. He used to do specials introducing things. So yeah, I remember a bunch of shows, man. But I don't know if we can ever get that magic back. Just like I think wrestling right now is weak compared to what it was in the 80s and 90s. So
Hmm.
I remember the Monday Night Wars. That was to be huge. They said the Wayne's brothers, the Parenthood. There's a bunch of stuff. But yeah, man, I'm of course I'm we're going over, but yeah, I got to do a show with you then, a retroactive show about this stuff
Oh
eventually.
yes, Malcolm and Eddie. I still watch that. So yes, the
Yeah.
Wayans brothers.
Shout out
Here's a
to
quick.
Uncle Eddie Griffin.
Yes, Navy veteran too. One thing, I had went to go see the Wayans brothers back at the Funny Bone in Virginia Beach like a while back, and so Sean was on stage. I almost got kicked out because while Sean was up there, it was quiet, and I'm like, "I love you," and he was like, "I love you too," and the bouncer was gonna kick me out, but he told me he loves me. So
Was he funny?
yes, it was. I had a good time. I had a really good time. And that was during a time where, they were saying, the jokes were stolen and stuff like that. But I had a great time. They were definitely personable. They were kind to, the attendees. So it was a good time.
I like their brother Damon.
Mhm.
Damon's an OG because he used to do some stuff. A Man Called Hawk. That was a
I
short
remember that
lived
one.
show. That's Avery Brooks who played in the Star Trek uh, series, the spinoff. I think Star Trek Enterprise. He
Mhm.
actually played a man called Hawk. He was Spencer for Hire's, uh, I think was his PI or his assistant or something for it. But
Mhm.
he was a well dressed brother. Had his stuff together and everything. It was set in Washington D.C. and they even though the ratings were high, they canceled it on ABC. So a lot of people
Wow.
were upset. So there was yeah, and a lot of people think it had to do with the fact that they didn't like seeing positive black male role models, which I don't doubt they do. Bill Lambert, I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, but you guys, when we will keep monitoring this stuff. Again, you all ought to be aware of what's going on. with these gun control laws and bills and be mindful. Go to a gun range if are uncomfortable with it. But I think the best thing to do is go to a gun shop, go to a gun range, and talk with people, seeing what would be a best fit, custom fit for you. If you're interested in buying a firearm, go on YouTube. Look at some of the men. Google people like Hickory HR Cock 45. He's good to look at. Look at our sister Tieesha Essex. Watch what he has to say. Of course, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. You guys know him. He is a Second Amendment advocate, big time. He told me once a story when he was the last judge to hear James Earl Ray's appeal and was about to reopen the case. Men actually uh, came to his house late at night while he was doing some work. He saw them opening the window, cutting the glass to get in so they could bypass his alarm. He saw him grab his pistol, his 45, and just open fire. And they had a little shootout. But that was the type of stuff that was going on because they didn't want to reopen the Martin Luther King. They were going to make it look like it was a burglary that went wrong. But he ended up surviving. He hit two of them. He had to shoot a multitude of them because there was blood outside the door and blood inside that they didn't even make the news. That's what's interesting about it too. Here's a sitting judge that survives a burglary attempt, and it doesn't even make the news about it. How these men,
Right.
yeah. So that was interesting. Yeah.
This was great because like this topic here, it does bring up a little, stress. It can be, just a roller coaster ride. So ending the video on this good note, taking us back through, some good shows to kind of lighten it up because it's bedtime. So I really, really appreciate that because it was kind of heavy. We're talking about, real things that are happening. So I really appreciate that.
Most definitely. I appreciate you coming on, dear. I thank you very much. This is Avery Book. Just so you know, this is Avery Brooks right here. Tieesha, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold, Legends of the Hidden Temple. I remember those shows. Are You Afraid of the Dark? But yeah, but that's
Are You
Avery
Afraid of the
Brooks.
Dark? Yes, that's it right there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't know who this guy, but he was in Star Trek. No, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I said
Okay,
Star Trek Enterprise. My mistake. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and he was in A Man Called Hawk. And guess what gun he carried? A 357 Magnum.
All right now. Let's see.
Well, on that note, dear, I will let you go. I thank you for tuning in with me and going over this. We'll have to do this again. And if it's okay, I can give Bernard your contact info if you can be a guest on his show.
Absolutely. I greatly appreciate it. And shout out, like I said, to the New Black Media, Nicole. She introduced us. So I really appreciate everything and having these connections. And thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you for, listening to me and welcoming me. And, I hope to see you again. And thank you for letting me jam to your music earlier, too. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Gotta get on up. Yeah.
I dance like an auntie now. So, yeah, y'all don't be roasting me.
Yeah. No problem, dear. Thank you very much. We enjoyed the stream. Ashton is just listing all of the good sitcoms. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Nostalgia all day.
Now, man, why would you post this? I know good looking honky. He's a real cool. He's a real cool one, just like KC from the Sunshine.
He's just wilding.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all tune in to our live stream Thursday. Of course, we'll have Sean James coming on, Captain Planet. I see you, Ashton. And certainly, y'all go to Tieesha's website, support her. Tieisha, before you leave, I do want to talk with you personally. Yeah,
Perfect.
for a second. So, guys, we're
Absolutely.
in the broadcast right now. We've been almost 2 hours, but it's been another edition of Gavin Richard Presents. You guys also please support and go buy the single. Got to get on up. We're gonna blast it. I'm gonna keep blasting until I get some sales, and I need money for my next single. I'm working on music. I'm trying to finish my book too, so I'm hustling. You know what? All right, guys, that's it. Good night. Thank y'all.